This is going to be graphic. Dozens of people have reached out to me about the incident that happened in Kanawha County a day and a half ago. It stinks. I'm not here to say what happened. I'm not here to attack or defend anyone involved in this situation. But it stinks. If those two EMTs did exactly what they said they did, and the dash cam and security footage is going to corroborate that, I will go to the mat to defend them. But their version of events is not lining up with the evidence at the scene or with the timeline. You'll see. I have no doubt you've seen posts like this on social media about it already. So the initial story, the original story from the EMTs from the sheriff's office was that the EMTs were at their station and a man came at them and they were in fear for their safety and they believed he had a knife. So they left the scene, left that area. But then the story goes back and forth. One version says that the man threw himself on the hood right there when they started driving. The other version of the story says that they drove around and came back to that location, and then the man threw himself on the hood while they were in motion. At no point up to this point did they contact law enforcement, despite later saying that they were in fear for their life and safety because they believed that man had a knife and was trying to attack them. That's discrepancy number one. Here's my caveat. I hope they can explain every single one of these discrepancies because I want to be a proponent for them. I'm just saying there's something weird going on here. I don't know what it is. I'm not a psychic, but there's something weird. Number two, they claim the man was armed with a knife. Or did they? So you'll see all these news reports, which I learned firsthand that you cannot believe what News in Southern West Virginia reports. I'm looking at you, WBOY, WCHS. I'm looking at you guys. They just report what somebody else told them. They do no investigation. And if you present them evidence that they reported false information, they'll just ignore you. So take what the news said with a grain of salt, because they said a knife-wielding man attacked these two EMTs. Those two EMTs never said they saw a knife. Go back and check that. Go back and look at the dispatch records in the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office. Yeah, check that out. The Sheriff's Office never said he had a knife. Nope. They never said he had a knife. They said the EMTs claimed he had a knife. No knife was located at that scene. No knife was located on that man's body. No knife was located all along the route, and we're going to get to that route here in a minute. That's a very crucial part of the story. No knife. No weapon was found. That's a big deal. And it was for no lack of trying to find it, too. So their initial claim that they believed he had a knife, unsubstantiated. That's discrepancy number two. Okay. Here's where the graphic part comes in, and please scroll out of here if this is going to make you squeamish. The two EMTs for KCEAA did not radio dispatch or law enforcement until after they ran the man over. That's a huge loophole here. That's a huge plot hole here. And when they radio in, they say that they believe they ran him over. What do you mean you believe? He was on your hood and went under the front of your vehicle, right? That's discrepancy number four. Here's where it gets kind of wild. Not only did this man go under their ambulance while they were still driving, they continued to drive with him under their ambulance. And you would say, oh, well, they probably didn't know he was there. Yeah, they did. As a matter of fact, by their own dispatch record, they did. I just want you to read that right there. Per dispatch, they said they can hear screaming coming from under their vehicle. That radio report was made while they were still driving the vehicle, with screaming coming from under the vehicle. And dispatch said, hey, even if he did have a knife, should they stop? Law enforcement says, yes, they need to stop. So did they stop? No. They turn around, continue driving in a circle. I'm going to let you pause if you want to read this more of it. More of it. This is how far that man was dragged underneath this ambulance. In case you're curious, that's over 2 miles. How do we know he was dragged that far under this ambulance? I've been sent a lot of photos and videos of it, but suffice it to say, there was a very clear blood smear and drag mark, a black mark from the man's black trench coat for the entirety of that. And later that morning, the fire department was out there washing it off with the hose. And that in itself is nothing shady. That's what the fire department does after fatal accidents like that. They wash blood off the road. For over 2 miles, that man was dragged screaming under an ambulance while they continued driving in a circle, listening to that man screaming under the ambulance. At some point along the way, his arm was ripped from his body. They kept driving. Law enforcement finally located his body along Route 119 here. Care was provided to him from another KCEAA unit, but he obviously didn't make it. So here's the thing. Everybody's jumping on this bandwagon of saying, well, that's what I would have done if somebody were attacking me with a knife too. We have absolutely no evidence that that man was armed with anything. Nothing. There's no corroborating testimony. They're not releasing the security footage. They're not releasing the dash cam yet. Oh, we've got FOIA requests in, FOIA demands in, but they're not voluntarily releasing it. Why wouldn't they? Even when there's an officer involved, you know what I mean? Agencies release that very quickly when they've got nothing to hide, right? Why are they circling the wagons? And I'm in contact with multiple employees of KCEAA who were very talkative initially about the incident. Lo and behold, now that some of the details and truth is coming out in the story, they've been told they are not allowed to talk about it. They won't say a word. That's disturbing. Because y'all know how I feel. When there are misdeeds done, whether it's law enforcement or an EMS, the people who cover it up are every bit as bad as the people who did it. What's done in the dark will be brought to light. And we're not afraid to name names. With my whole heart, I genuinely hope that the dash cam footage that we're demanding and the security footage from every place along that area, plus their station, I hope it backs up what the EMTs are saying. I really do. But there are too many inconsistencies that are coming out with this story that are making absolutely no sense. Here's the thing though, that right there. Let's say that they are being 100% truthful about what happened, and that let's say he was armed with a knife. There's no evidence to show that he was, but let's say he was. The threat's neutralized. You hear a man screaming underneath a moving vehicle traveling down the road, and you continue to drive. Okay, let's put that into perspective. Let's say, oh, and it comes to light, by the way, that there's no weapon. Okay, that's very important here. Now, let's say someone comes at me aggressively, and I believe they have a knife. So I pull out the old Freedom Seed launcher and ventilate them. Okay. Now, if it comes to light that they did in fact have a weapon, yes, okay, that was self-defense. Done. If they didn't have a weapon, guess what that is? That's second-degree murder. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Those who are close to it, if they have any integrity, you'll speak up.